now. There we go. All right, yeah, it's starting to pile up. All right, and for everyone that's on already, I'm James Cox, European Manager for Nx, and today we're going to show you some AI and a little taster of 4.1, and do it with our hardware and master distribution partner for the United Kingdom, Veracity. And we've got Tony Lannon on as our partner for that. We'll wait for a few more people to join, and then we'll get kicked off. For anyone that wants to ask questions, just feel free to use the Q&A section of Zoom, and we'll answer the questions as they come through. But there will be points at the end of each presentation to answer the questions. All right. Okay, to give everyone a little bit of a background of NX, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure a lot of you know us already. The company itself was founded for a specific thing. It's basically to make VMS solutions a lot simpler. One of the main things about that was just an easier UI to use, easier to discover video, and easier to set up and connect devices. So the core principles of the company are basically the usability. So install within 2 minutes, instantly connect to cameras, and support as many languages as possible. And also be able to just look for video and find video as quickly as possible. The cross-platform and lightweight. The main thing there is we just wanted to make sure it runs on anything. So for those of you that know us, we know that we run on ARM devices. The server itself can run pretty much on anything. It's a tiny install of 150 megabytes or something. And it just works on most devices. Even when we're streaming, the streaming is a lot more lightweight than most other systems, which makes it a lot faster to actually access video. And then from a developer standpoint, make it as easy as possible to fit any kind of vertical. So we're not stuck to just oil and gas or smaller systems. We can do 1 camera systems, we can do 10,000 camera systems. And with our API Meta SDK, which we'll be talking about today, it allows you to integrate and create any kind of solution for any vertical. Little standpoints of the company. So we were founded in 2010. In 2016 was our big point where we were actually listed in Inc. magazine as the 7th fastest growing software company in the United States, which is a big hit for us. Obviously only 6 years and managed to get to that point. And now going into 4.0 is where we're talking about the meta and the AI integration side of things. A little bit about our presence around the world. So we cover globally, even in Europe alone. We've got Amsterdam, Paris, Barcelona, and obviously a good presence in the UK. And then obviously around the world as well. So the main thing we're going to talk about today is the new AI integrations that we have. The way that we've done this, the main thing that we've tried to focus on is we've created a framework that basically allows any company to integrate with us, but to the point where from an end user point of view, it feels like a single system. It kind of keeps in with our core values of making things simple, easy to use, and not complex for the end user. So how do we do that? This is kind of a flow of how our Meta SDK works. We have the customer's technology, which may be LPR solutions, facial recognition solutions, or any kind of solution like that. And then we use our Meta SDK, which gets the information from our system, returns any metadata. We can then search all that metadata, send events bi-directional. So one of the advantages there is that you don't have to go to another system if you want to blacklist a plate. It can all be done from inside of our system, and all the plugin settings. To really work on this framework is we find a lot of AI companies now are getting very vertical specific. There's not the one AI company covers everything. We find, you've got people that focus on different things. So you might have someone that focuses on health and safety. They do PPE detection, for instance, hard hats, face masks, gloves, and then it will send a notification if someone's on site and they've taken off their hard hat, all the way through to aged care and healthcare, where it can detect if someone's fallen out of their bed, alert a nurse to go into the room to obviously help the person out. We're finding that people are focusing on these verticals rather than just trying to create a solution that suits all. So giving them the technology and the ability to easily grab video and display it, and then obviously for the end user to actually be able to use that as a single system, is what we find really important to be able to deliver that. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through a couple of examples of this. I've got a couple inside of the presentation for anyone to take a look at if they want to. But what we're going to do is I'll show you some live ones to give you a real idea of how this works. So for those of you that are familiar with the Nx client, this is what it looks like. So this is one of our partners, Vision Labs. So you can see here, this was actually live from a show that we did with Seagate. Seagate's also one of our AI partners for all their drives and any drive issues or failures. That's all integrated with our system to give you a lot better management of your storage system. So on the right hand side, we can see all of our faces pop in. So if we click any single one of them, they automatically pop in. He clearly named himself on this one. You can see it gives you a general age, a gender and an emotion. And then if the person is enrolled, it will give them a name. This can be searchable in terms of just looking through faces on the right hand side, or if you actually need to search for a specific person. So for instance, I know we had Oscar at the show with us, who's from our team. We can now see all the times Oscar appeared, and it will automatically brings up. I'm sure he's not happy with that age, but he'll do with it. And then we can now see every time that Oscar was on, and you can see how fast and accessible this footage is. And we can search by date and time. We can also search by emotion or gender if we don't know. So for instance, if someone said there was a female, I don't know, she was exhibiting happiness, now we can see all the females that exhibited happiness. And they will all pop up, and then when we see the one we want, so you can see it also can pick up eyeglasses there. So you can see it says eyeglasses true. We can even search on a specific zone of the screen. So that's how detailed this this integration goes. So if I want to just see any time a female came on this side of the screen that exhibited happiness, then we now have that right there. So you can see how detailed we can get. It all appears on the timeline as well. If you're looking for, like I said, a specific date or time, so you can see here we had some zones where there was that event occur. And then we can obviously pull up our thumbnails if we want to see more, and try and kind of get down to that level a bit quicker. In terms of the bi-directional communication, one of the huge advantages with our system, without having to leave or go to a different screen. So for some of you know, we have what we try to do is a single UI. We don't like to have to move away from the monitoring and kind of investigation screen to do things. So if this woman was, I don't know, caught stealing something, so therefore we want to know next time she comes back onto that stand, I can simply right click, hit create a person, and then I can add, for instance, the name, and this will go back to the Vision Labs database, enroll that person inside of the Vision Labs database. We can then set an alert that say we called her Thief 101. We can now set an alert that when Thief 101 comes back and is seen on one of our cameras in our booth, automatically notify me, launch a screen. We can do push notifications now in 4.1. We'll do a bit of what's in 4.1 a little bit later. So really powerful in terms of not having to ever leave our software to set up all these alerts and notifications, but still having the full power of the Vision Labs system in the back end. So the way that works is they actually develop a plugin that sits inside of our Nx Witness server that then does all the facial recognition or facial detection, and then sends the face to their Vision Lab server for the actual recognition, which makes it a lot more lightweight and faster and easier to use. So this is a good example of our facial recognition integration with Vision Labs. There's a few other companies we do facial recognition integrations with. It really depends on what you're looking for. We have some companies that will do, hair color, eye color. So if someone's telling you a description, you can search back based on what the actual person looked like in more detail. So I'm going to jump to another system. This one's a remote system in Spain, courtesy of our partners Neural Labs. These guys are working on some really good LPR solutions. And one of the things I like is how well they classify objects. So this is obviously standard for LPR, as a lot of our companies can do LPR, not to the level that these guys and accuracy of these guys, I have to say. But one of the main things I like about this is we can search based on classification. So if I want to see an Audi, I can type in Audi and I can click, and we can now grab an Audi pretty quickly. So we can see that the Audi went past there. Getting some lag from the zoom, I think. But we can search based on color as well. So if we want to see any time there's a red car, we'll now see all the times that there was a red car pop up in the right hand side here. So pretty powerful in terms of if someone's seen a specific car but not seen the license plate, we can say red Kia, for instance, and then we can see there's 3 examples of the time a red Kia went by. So this integration really allows someone to get a lot more in-script with their investigation of the car. So there's our red Kia that came by. We can even search for things like, for instance, classifications in terms of van. We can see every time a van went by. So now we've got our vans. We can do Volkswagen van. We can search plates, obviously, as well, if you know the exact plate you're looking for. So this one's 456. So if I type in 456, we now have the that specific car come up. Heavy vehicles, so we can bring in our trucks and kind of things like that. Obviously, bicycles, motorbikes, everything's all done via classification. Really nice and quick and easy, simple. And considering this is remotely streaming from Spain to the UK right now, and then going out to you guys on this webinar, you can see how fast we can actually deliver that searching. Like I said, the smoothness of their system is really impressive to us, and the classification seems to work extremely well. We can search pretty much anything, you know, down to color, make, and sometimes model. We can also bring in a full bookmark log, so you can see here what's been tagged on the right hand side. So you got the plate as the name, the camera appears on, the time, and then we can see, for instance, you got black car, Seat, Spain. We've got Ford, black car, Spain. So you can see how it brings in all these classifications and how this is all searchable inside of our system. So really powerful bookmark integration there. We can also see it on the timeline as we can with the others. So the blue zones is where it occurred on the time zone, or on the timeline, which is a bit more visually perceptive if you're looking for a specific date and time rather than just looking at the thumbnails on the right hand side. You just need to see when a heavy truck came between this hour and this hour. Then we can grab the timeline, for instance, and now we can say at 2 p.m. 2:20 there was 2 heavy vehicles that went past, and we can see all the tags inside of that as well, just to jump through it in a more text-based way. So again, this is with our partners Neural Labs, based over in Barcelona. Really good guys. So if you've got any solutions that require that, it's worth reaching out to them, or reach out to us and we can put you in contact with them. So for a third one, still in development, we have one with our company Centurion. So Centurion, they've focused on object classification. This is still in the works, so it's a little buggy, but it's a really good solution for basically just detecting anything that's in a frame. The advantage there is it picks up if there's mobile phones, if there's laptops, if there's umbrellas, if there's colors, for any of the kind of things that you would be searching for. So if someone said, oh yeah, there was a guy with a black backpack, we can search black backpack. Although it does appear that I'm struggling to get connected at the moment with my internet. These guys are in Singapore, so it's there we go. So it's a little bit further away to try and get our connection to. So in the object search on the right hand side here, you can see we've got a backpack. So if we click here, you can see it's picked up that there's a backpack at the back of the room here. If we hover over the frame, you can actually see it draws the blue box over the time the backpack was there. It doesn't do it on the main screen at the moment. Whether they're going to implement that or not, they're still deciding, mainly because if they did, there would be a very messy screen because it would be picking up backpacks, mobiles, chairs, laptops, etc. So the idea is that it breaks it all out into the thumbnails, and then we can play back based on when you see those events occur, and you can see exactly where in the frame that item was based on the thumbnail. So we can break that down. We can go to mobile phones. So you can see here it's picked up a laptop in the background. Having a few streaming issues to Singapore at the moment, but you can still see all the breakdown on the right hand side. So this is a pretty powerful tool for basically just general monitoring of any solution. It means that searching for items is a lot faster. People spend a lot of time searching for things, especially security guards or admin people. And if you can say, I'm just looking for someone that was on a mobile phone that had a backpack, and it automatically takes you to that zone, then it really gives you a lot more powerful search tool to basically find things and identify things quickly. Obviously, you can also set this up for alarms. So for instance, if a lot of high-end buildings, they don't like you to have umbrellas inside, so you could have it where if there's an umbrella seen inside, it automatically sets up an alarm for the security guard to go and tell them to take away their umbrella. If there's no cell phones, for instance, in courtrooms, no cell phones are allowed, so you can have an alert based where if there's a cell phone detected inside of the courtroom, it automatically removes or sends an alert and shows you which person had a cell phone on them. If there's no bags allowed inside of museums, some museums in Australia don't allow bags. It would automatically detect that someone's managed to get in with a backpack on, and notify someone. So lots of different uses, not just for searching, but also for notification based on what's allowed in certain areas and stuff like that. So pretty powerful tool. As I said, the internet's a bit choppy with them at the moment, but you can see on the right hand side here where we're bringing up laptops, we're bringing up backpacks, mainly laptops and backpacks in that room, mainly because no one's there, time zone difference. But like I said, it can do mobile phones, it can do umbrellas, it can do cups. It's pretty detailed in the items that it can pick up. And these guys are working on improving their meta integration, so it's even easier to search and select colors and things like that as well. So that's kind of three of the main ones I was going to show you to kind of give you an idea of how we're working with a meta. Like I said, we're working daily to try and get as many partners as possible in as many different kind of verticals as possible. I was actually talking this morning before this presentation with a partner company of ours that are working on a COVID-19 AI that basically looks at people wearing face masks, make sure people are social distancing, and potentially do more accurate thermal reading based off of thermal cameras using AI to track temperature changing. So we're really working on trying to make sure that this solution can basically fit any kind of system out there. So if someone's got this crazy and wonderful idea of what they want to get done or achieve, using our different frameworks and our different partners, we should pretty much be able to achieve any solution, especially using either the Meta SDK or the API tools. It's extremely flexible in basically just, like I said, meeting any solution. So if I jump back to our presentation real quick, we can do a quick Q&A on any of the AI side of things. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask away. And we can answer any of the questions, or you can wait until a bit later, or reach out to me personally later on, or just through our support system as well. So a little teaser, mainly because we've got our hardware partner, like I said, Veracity, they're our master distributor for the UK. They also develop a really strong hardware solution, and they've recently embedded Nx onto it. So one of the tasters I wanted to show you guys, 4.1, is how we've improved our health monitoring. So this is works well with the Veracity system, especially as they're hardware based. So now from the cloud system, we can fully monitor our system. in terms of errors, warnings, what everything is going, and it's extremely detail orientated. So for IT managers, this is great. For installers, this is great to see what's going on your site, or even just for system admins if you want more information on how the system's working. So you can see from the alerts page, we've got general errors and warnings. These can be clicked to see exactly what it is and the status. But where this gets really detailed is, so we've got a general overview of the system, and then we've got our servers. So we've got 3 servers on this system. If I click on one of these servers, it shows me every single piece of detail to do with our server. So we've got our CPU usages, we've got the RAM usage, we've got the total percent of RAM used. You know, we've even got the decoding threads, encoding threads, what's being used, incoming connections, logging. So we've got everything, the operating system, uptimes, the server times, and then the general activity all inside of this interface now. So it's really powerful for monitoring your systems, making sure you're going to have 100% uptime. If there are any issues, without having to go to the site, you can actually jump on here, you know, determine if there's a hardware issue, if it's a RAM issue, if it's a CPU issue, kind of have a bit more of an idea of what you're facing. Even if we go down to our camera level, it gives you a full list of all your cameras. We can click on a camera. We can see what the primary stream settings are, what the secondary stream settings are, what the general storage analytics are. So you can see the current archive length of this camera is 76 days. That must be recording for a while. And then the average bit rate, and then a rough snapshot so you can prove these, so you can confirm that it's live. So again, just really good for monitoring your solution, making sure everything's live, and making sure everything is set correctly. Even storage, we've got a breakdown of all our storage locations. Obviously, we've got multiple E drives and S drives based on the server, so we can sort this on the actual server. So we go to the Vision Labs one, we can say that our E drive, we can see it's currently online. The read rate is 0, the write rate is 1,400 kilobits a second. So right now, no one's obviously playing any video off of this, but we are still writing to it because it's recording right now. And then we can see generally our space, and then our database transactions per second as well. Obviously, this is just a storage drive, so there's no database transactions. So it gives you a full idea of exactly what's going on in the system. So really detailed, as I said, including your network interfaces, gives you your I/O rates and your general status and IP addresses of your system. So this ties in really well, obviously, with our hardware partner, being Veracity. So our system sits on their servers, which means that we get all this information, all these details on their servers. And then the stuff that they can do using their system takes it to the next level of being able to monitor and make sure you got maximum uptimes. So what I'm going to do is I will hand it over to Tony from Veracity. I'll just stop sharing my screen and let him take over. Tony, do you want to take over?
Yep, thank you for that, James. You're a gentleman. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. So very interesting stuff there from James on what's available on 4.1 and 4.0 as well, I have to say. So we are Veracity. We're a UK-based company based up in Scotland, and we specialise in 3 areas. The areas we specialise in is transmission, storage, and display. So we do long distance, Ethernet over coax, long distance, Ethernet over Ethernet up to 820 meters with PoE, things like that, which is all very cutting edge, I have to say. And we are the innovators in that side of the industry. Obviously, we are Network Optix UK and our master distributor, which is quite a bit of kudos for us, and a bit of kudos as well for the NX solution. So I'm going to be talking to you today about the Coldstore integration. We've embedded Nx Witness into our 2UNX Coldstore. We're also going to be embedding that into our 3U version, and we're going to be embedding that into our Colossus, which is 45 bays, but we'll go into that shortly. bear in mind that we are a global business and all of our products are available on a global basis. So these are the Coldstore family. So we start off at quite a smallish unit, which is a cube, which is 40 terabytes with 5 terabyte disks. This is a 3.5-inch drive machine. Moving through, we have Coldstore 2Us, 2 Nx's I've already mentioned, 3Us, a 3U Pro, which is the latest upgrade to the Coldstore family, and then obviously, as I said before, the Colossus at 630 terabytes. So the slide on the screen right now is showing you 14 terabyte disk. We have actually released 16 terabyte disks into this as well. So quite a powerful solution with an embedded Nx Witness built into it. So you've got the storage, the server, and the VMS software in the one product. The longevity of this machine is well proven. Over the years, we've got some of these still out in sites with local councils and places like that, because we're doing a lot of city surveillance, which have had these 11 years. So we're well proven that the technology is solid. And this again, as James pointed out before, takes them to the next level, takes us to the next level as well. Because the beauty of Coldstore is when you want more storage, you rather just put bigger drives in, which it'll recognize automatically even in the future, or you just add more storage boxes into your network, and that'll get configured onto the Nx Witness system as an extra storage device. So the world's quite your oyster. And as I say, certainly where the Colossus is concerned, at 630 terabytes, that's quite a unit as well. So we have some really good benefits with Coldstore. The Coldstore itself was actually built or innovated, as I'd like to say, to actually address hard drive failures. So hard drive failure rates are quite high in this industry because obviously the streams themselves are a continuous feed from the camera, so it never stops. And that puts quite a strain on hard drives, obviously certainly in a RAID array. In the RAID arrays themselves, you know, what's the main drive failure rate in there? You're looking things like heat, and you're also looking at vibration. The beauty of the Coldstore, it isn't a RAID solution, it is a LAID solution, a linear array of idle disks, and it writes sequentially. So it doesn't do anything fancy into the storage part from the camera. It doesn't encode or re-encode anything. It takes it exactly as it's sent from the camera, so that its write time is actually quite phenomenal. So power usage on this is typically 0.1 watts per terabyte. Generally in a RAID system, that's about 20 watts. So this machine, or the two machines you see on the screen right now, the 2U Nx at the top, the 3U Pro at the bottom, are using between 40 and 60 watts of power to run the entire machine. And again, that's quite cutting-edge technology that we're deploying. From an ownership point of view, once you guys buy this machine, generally in 3 years, you'll be looking to change your storage box to put bigger stuff in. And the good thing about this is this comes with a 5-year guarantee on the Coldstore. Comes with a 5-year guarantee on the hard drives. We're that confident these drives are not going to fail in the machine. As I say, there's only 2 drives on at one time. There is no vibration. It's called Coldstore, so there is no heat either. So, and they're the 2 main factors, as I said earlier, for drives to actually fail. So we think we've overcome that problem. Hence why we're happy to give you the guarantee or the warranty that we do. So quite an innovation in the industry. So how does a Coldstore work with the Nx? So the Coldstore itself, as I say, it's got a built-in server. It's got embedded Nx Witness built into this as well, so it's seamless. Everything works out of the one machine. That cuts down on rack space, obviously. The benefits of the low wattage and so on, as I said. And the throughput on the machine is 1,000 megabits a second. Now, what I want to say to people is when we're talking about throughputs, This is all to do with size of cameras, really, and what frame rates you're going to use. So I would bear that in mind, because obviously, you know, using 8K cameras and things like that, that's a bigger megabit throughput per second. But we'll aid you with those calculations anyway. We do have a calculator for this, and I'm sure that if you get in touch, that we can share this information with you. So we have, as I said before, we write sequentially, and we have what we call a SFS. That's the stream, the sequential filing system stream that we use. We've developed this. It's trademarked to ourselves, obviously. This built into a VMS is a major leap forward. This is what a lot of the industry has been asking us for, and obviously we partnered up with our Nx partners to put this in the box. I'm not going to read everything on the screen, guys. You can read most of this yourselves, I'm certain. Apologies, just got a bit of dry throat. So license fees on this are exactly the same as with the Nx software. We're in line with them. You can move licenses up to 3 times as well, so you're not actually stuck to one machine. If your machine fails, that you have to buy the licenses. That doesn't happen. We can move these licenses across, which is quite unique across this industry. So, as I say, the 2U Nx itself is an 8-bay machine. As I say, it will now take 16 terabyte drives as well, and it does come in, as I say, with the built-in Nx Witness software. And we've got to remember, with that Nx software, you get all the benefits of the network Optix, you get all the benefits of network Optix's other partners, as they've just been showing you, the LPR and everything else. All of that will get recorded into Coldstore, as you'd expect, is retrievable from Coldstore. And what I do need to state again is, you can add as many of these Coldstores onto your network as you wish, and you can still put Coldstores on separate sites all over the world, really. You can merge all these sites together, as some of you are probably aware. A few of you probably won't be aware. So in effect, you can have Coldstores all over the world, and you can always bring that back into the Nx system as if it was on system. Now, the interesting thing about that is we have a piece of software as well, which comes with the Coldstore, and it's called Sitescape. The thing about the Sitescape is this will give you the facility to actually manage your Coldstores over 1 site, over 10 sites, over 50 sites, whatever your setup is going to be. With lots and lots of things you can do. Basically, it'll manage all of those things. You can set things up. You can do your network configuration for your Coldstores. You can reboot them. You've got disk diagnostics. What's the recording capacities? What disks are recording on a particular item at one point? You can stop and insert disks, because they're all swappable drives. So you can actually pop a drive in. Come up to the software and make it writable. I'm going to pop on and show you a quick view of what that looks like. So this is the Sitescape. It looks quite simple, but it is quite an in-depth piece of software. It's just well hidden behind various menus. We can add devices, so we can add devices off the network. We can add them in manually as well at this point, and that'll get added into the sides. We can go to the setup. We can do configuration, give it a name. What is it called? How do you want the Coldstore to work? Do you want it full mirrored pairs? Do you want to do overlapping pairs? Do you want to use it as a JPod? So there's lots of things you can do with this. As you can probably say, I hope you can read the screen, that we can, this particular one I'm on now will tell me that I can, if I have a draft failure, that I can continue writing, and it'll step to the next one automatically. So I don't have to worry about the system stopping recording. Change all the time and date settings. You can put your NTP servers in at this point. And don't forget, this is across all your Coldstores that you've got in the field. You can set your networks up, your gateways, your DNS servers, and everything you want. Set both the Ethernet ports up, tell them what you want them to be doing, IPv6 information already in there. Now, one of the great features of this is I can actually update the firmware on all the Coldstores from this position. I just download the file, obviously, from the Veracity website, add it into here, and it'll update the boxes for us without us actually going anywhere near the site. So, makes life a lot simpler. If I go and say, because I've got one online on the bottom, I can ping it as well, just to make sure it's still alive. It tells me, as you can see, that we've succeeded in that ping, and yes, I am there. I can go to the diagnostics screen. I can bring the temperatures up of all the devices as well. I can also look at the disk stats. I particularly like this one. It tells me what's writing on each machine, what's idle, when it wrote, when it finished, what size hard drives are in, and more importantly, what is actually on at the time. Now, if you notice now at the top of the screen, if I click on one of the drives, the top of the screen will light up. If I'm going to change this or insert new discs, like in empty slots, like I've got in drive 7 and 8, you can see that I can insert that disk. I can make it writable at that point as well. If I'm not happy with a certain drive, or I think I may have a problem, I can do a step change and move to the next set of disks as well. If I have a major incident, I want to make sure I don't lose something, I'm not going to overwrite it, I can actually mark that as a read-only drive. That will automatically move to the next set of disks again, and away it goes. So quite a simple looking piece of software, but quite an in-depth piece of software at the same time. So all the credentials I can change on this point. I can add different types of Coldstores in there as well, whether it be Nx or Coldstore itself as you're adding it in, just as a storage box on the back of an Nx system as well, because you can use Coldstore on this system with one-use servers with separate Coldstores as well as the embedded solution. So we can reboot, shut down all the machines across the network as well. All the tabs that we opened earlier will still be on the timeline until we get rid of them. So even though it looks a piece of simplest looking software, it is quite driven. It is very technology driven. And that comes, as I said, that's a free piece of software, comes and should make your lives a lot simpler once these are deployed in the field. So has anybody got any questions on that particular section?
If anyone has any questions, you can use the Q&A section. You can raise your hand and ask a question. If you don't want to do it here, then feel free to email Tony, his email address there, or email me at jcox@networkoptix.com. And we can answer any questions there. Also, if you want any copies of any of the presentations, just let us know, or any contacts for instance, Neural Labs or Vision Labs or any of our partners, just let us know.
Okay, James, you've got a question. Yeah. Will it be possible to share this presentation?
Yeah, so yeah, we can give you the presentations. We've also done a recording of this. So Tony's got the recording. So if anyone just wants the video or the presentation, just let us know and we can give them out to you when you need them. All right, if no one else has any questions, oh, no, there's another one coming in. Okay, same person. So we'll be doing the same. Tony, your question, mate.
Okay, so if we get a faulty hard drive, that will be obviously returned via our. We have a full technical support team. They will raise an RMA for that, and they'll swap the hard drive out within that 5-year period. Actually, got another question. Will it be possible to recover the recorded video on it? I think you've got the right software. The thing is, if you've got a faulty hard drive, depends what the fault is, obviously, on the drive. But there are a lot of places that specialise in retrieval of footage, etc., or data from hard drives.
We've got a question about the AMPR LPR solution. Yeah, if you missed that, we were showing it a little bit earlier. We have a really good LPR AMPR solution, which also does the classification of the vehicle. So it does, if it's an Audi, for instance, what the color is, or if it's a heavy vehicle, or if it's a bike or a car or a van. That's all done with our partners, Neural Labs. If you shoot us an email, I can put you in touch with them. Really good guys based out of Barcelona. I think one of them is or was on this call. Now I can see him is on this call. So I can put you in touch with them. Tony, for you?
Yep. The timestamp in the Coldstore is actually taking the information from the cameras. So as that gets laid to disk as it comes from the cameras with that metadata information.
And also, if it's Nx that's recording to the Coldstore, it will Nx will also have a video database where everything is stored inside the Coldstore as well, to make sure that Nx is pulling the right video at the right time. We use a proprietary database, which makes it a lot faster to draw video from the Coldstore. We'll give it a couple of minutes, see if there's any more come in. Oh, there we go. What happens if the camera resets? So from the NX point of view, if the camera loses connection and comes back again, it just automatically reconnects. And then obviously we'll continue recording to the Coldstore. So there'll be a slight gap where the camera's rebooting or resetting. If it's an actual settings reset in terms of like a hardware reset, then NX will automatically pick up the camera again. It will still be recorded into the same folder because it still has the same camera ID, because the ID is based off the information, the hardware information of the camera. So the only thing that might change is your frame rates and your resolutions and stuff if you've changed them. If it's the same, then obviously the reset, if it's a hard reset, like I said, where all the software settings have gone back to default, the camera will still be recorded and marked and databased in the same file correctly. Yep, ONVIF compliant, ONVIF Profile S. And if the camera says it's ONVIF Profile S and it works in ONVIF Device Manager, then it will definitely work with us. If it doesn't, sometimes we might be able to do a slight tweak to get it working. If it's completely non-ONVIF, then it's hard because some cameras say they're ONVIF when they're not. But yeah, for the most part, we work very well with ONVIF cameras. In NX version 4.1, there is an option to replace a camera. No, so you don't. When you have to replace a camera, it's actually quite easy to do. If you go into the file system of NX and you find the camera that you want to replace, you can just move the files to the new camera's top level file where it has the camera ID, and then if you re-archive the index, it will actually bring in all the old camera's files into the new camera's timeline, so it'll appear as if the camera never went down. So that's quite easy to do actually, which is why there's no setting for it in 4.1. But it's something we can definitely bring up to the devs as a click button feature rather than a slight manual move. But like I said, it's doable now. It's been doable since 2.4. It's just a case of moving files over and rebuilding the archive. There's a Coldstore one for you there, Tony. Tony used it.
Yeah, so yeah. So for Coldstore, the camera is reset with the timestamp be skewed. So if the camera gets reset, that will stop recording, and obviously that's recording through the NX system. As soon as that comes back online, that'll just get fitted right back into the timeline from the NX software recorded back into Coldstore. So obviously you'll have a gap. It won't mess around with the timeline. It'll just stop recording that camera because it's not there anymore. But as soon as the camera comes back on via the NX system, that will start recording automatically in the correct place.
Just while we wait to see if there's any other questions, just to let you know, we'll be doing the same presentation next Thursday at the same time. So if you see it pop up and you were on this one, you don't need to see next Thursday's. We're just going to give everybody a chance that couldn't make this one to get on into it next week. The following week, we'll be doing another presentation, but we'll be doing a different one, probably focused more on the 4.1 features that are coming out and what's new in that. So we'll send out a new blurb or a push on social media to say that we're going to be doing a different one for 4.1. And again, we'll have Veracity on that with us. So if anyone's got any other questions, if not, I think we can leave it there. Anything you want to add to that, Tony?
No, James. I think we've covered it all.
No, we'll leave the meeting open for the next 5 minutes just for questions to come in. But we'll have it probably ourselves muted while we see if any comes in. If they come in, we'll start talking again. And then if nothing comes in the next 5 minutes, then we'll end the webinar. Thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate your time. And like I said, feel free to reach out to us. Tony's email's on the screen, and mine is jcox@networkoptics.com, which is easy to remember. Yeah, look forward to hearing from you guys. Yeah, so for a face mask, someone asked in the face detection, if someone's wearing a face mask, going to be detected. Vision Labs, I believe, have worked on something. I'm not sure if it's been released yet, but we do have other partners. Another company based in Spain, ironically, also does facial. They do PPE, so they do generally hard hats, face masks, gloves, etc. So they've tuned it, their PPE one, to basically focus on face mask detection. So yeah, we can, if you reach out to me, we can put you in touch with them. They're just finishing up the solution now. That's who I was talking to this morning about a solution. They're already integrated with their older AI, and it's just a case of finalizing the face mask detection and social distancing. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Another question in. We work with a number of different camera manufacturers. We can bring in their thermal information, so if they've got high temperature alarms, it can come into our system. And on top of that, we have a couple of different companies we work with, a company in Australia and a company in Spain, that use AI on top of thermal cameras, basically to increase the accuracy rates. Because obviously, as everybody's, I'm sure, aware from reading IPVM and other things like that, the accuracy isn't as great as one might want it to be. So using AI, basically, it can increase, obviously it's based on a specific camera, but it increases the accuracy, and it does a thing where it reads temperature over time. So rather than just saying it's a temperature, this is high or low, this is a base level temperature for this object. If it increases or decreases, then it's a more accurate reading as well. So yeah, again, reach out to us. We can put you in touch with them. Especially as I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but I was talking to them last night, the ones in Australia, and they've got a pretty good solution. They actually launched it on LinkedIn this morning, showing it, so it looks pretty good. Thanks, Neil. Hope you stay safe too. Okay, on that note, we're down to less than 10 people on the webinar, so we'll end it now. Appreciate everyone's time, as I said. I look forward to working with everybody more in the future. Stay safe, and hopefully this all passes soon.
Thanks for your time, everyone.